Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets, and if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets. Well, I'm excited to have you back on the podcast. I think when I was looking at it, it had been 5 years almost since the last time you came on. So lots changed. I'm excited to have you back on. Would you like to introduce yourself and we'll kind of get started there?
Yeah, I'm Jeromeo, Jerome for short. I'm a leader of Them Damn Dogs. I play guitar in the Beastie Goys and just a local musician all around.
Yeah. And so we had you on 5 years ago talking with Russ,
Mhm.
your lead guitarist of Them Damn Dogs, kind of talking about kind of the evolution of Them Damn Dogs. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll have links to that episode. So if you want to listen to an older episode of the podcast, that'll be in the show notes. But I know, so you're originally from the Texas area and you came here for school at UAH.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that initial meeting with your bassist and your drummer to kind of start Them Damn Dogs in like 2015, 2013.
2013, around there. Yeah, I went to UAH, doing some music classes, I was still kind of like not really sure what I was going to get my degree in. But started in doing music, and that's where I met Brandon, the drummer. And we just kind of hit it off. One of my roommates at the time was in the same fraternity as him, the
Okay.
Delta Chi. So I would go over to the house and just hang out sometimes. And Brandon has drum set out. So some people were like jamming or
Yeah.
playing. So
Had you ever been in a band or anything prior to that?
been in some high school bands.
Okay. But like
prior to
since
that.
moving to Huntsville at the
Since
time.
no, none of that.
Okay.
I'd gone to Voodoo's open mic one time, and it was a very terrible experience for me. So first that moment on, I was kind of discouraged at even playing music
Wow.
because it wasn't like, I embarrassed myself, and I'm pretty sure no one even thought anything about it. But for me, I was like, this is terrible. So I never did that. But then I started playing with him, and it was cool. We had good chemistry.
Yeah.
It was-
And then so like at the time it was just the three of you, and that's kind of the first album that y'all released.
Yeah, well, we had an original guitarist, Drew. He was living at the house where we were practicing, and like the first time Brandon and I got together and like practice in his house, Drew was there. He's like, "Hey, y'all are jamming. I'm gonna jam with y'all."
That's awesome. Okay.
And then we found Chris, and then we recorded the first album, very very cheap. Our friends had a garage, not a garage, like a basement recording studio where they were doing the Spice Radio. They were doing they had a radio station that they had a bunch of like local music and other stuff like that. And they did some like festivals here and there, like Spice Fest so we recorded there. That was our first album, and it's an interesting experience. It was a lot of fun because it was like the first album I ever like really like legitimately recorded.
What was that? So that came out in 2015, Let Loose. What was that? How long did that journey take from that 2013? Like, when did that first song for the album happen? And then at what point prior to releasing to that album was the album sort of finished?
So it was like 2 years in the process of just like writing a bunch of songs and then playing around town and like other little.
And kind of getting the feedback from the community a little bit?
Yeah,
Just kind of seeing what resonates as far as playing it to a live audience?
Yeah, and people really liked it. People were digging it, and so we're having a lot of fun making friends of bands that are no longer around, but still some musicians that are still around, some bands that are still around. So we had a lot of fun doing that. And so yeah, 2 years. We worked on it pretty hard, and but we didn't know anything about releasing music, making CDs and stuff. So this was like in the early days of Spotify. So the streaming services were, all the rage. So, and we found a distributor. It was like CD Baby. There's so many now, DistroKid or whatever. There's a lot. So put that together and, released it. Had a little release show at this bar called MVP,
Ooh,
which used to be one of my drinking holes back
Where
in
was
the
that?
day. It was in South Huntsville. I don't think
Okay.
it's a place anymore, but me and my buddies used to go there. We used to
Yeah.
go there and Sports Page.
Okay.
Those are the
Yeah.
spots. But End Zone was like also one spot that we used to always play at, as well as like Voodoo Lounge.
So as you're kind of testing that album out before it's releasing, were those sort of your main, as you like those three spots were places that you were kind of playing it, bringing it to the community a little bit, and kind of seeing
Yeah.
the response that you got?
Yeah, definitely. It was those spots, but we would also try to play other places. Like there was this one spot called the Foyer, which was a cool coffee, like it was like a place where like UAH students or just it was
Mm.
like one of the first like cool coffee shops in
Oh
town
wow.
that I could think of. That's where I met Wanda Wazalowski. I met a bunch of great people like my buddy Evan Roulette and um, you know, my buddy Mikey used to do open mics there. So we played there. We would do like acoustic shows there. It was
Okay.
like the acoustic place. But that place shut down like 11 years ago or so.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's
No one knows about us anymore. Yeah.
that's awesome. And so that from 2015 to 2021, which is when your second album came out,
Hmm.
Russ joined the band shortly after that first album.
Yeah.
And what was that process like for writing that second album, which is one of my favorites? I think when we had you on the podcast, y'all reached out because that album had just come out
Mhm.
in 2021. I have the CD in my truck. Your music was the intro music of the podcast for a while until Spotify flagged it. But what was that process like, and how did it differ writing that album versus writing that first album?
I guess it differed. There was a longer period between those two albums, and the process was a little more. We wanted to get to dive into different sounds as far as like a different type of flavor, an unpoetic flavor, if you will. Kind of little elements of surf and new wave. So it was kind of like kind of seeing like what we can really mold together. Also, we were like a three-piece for a good chunk of that. And then Russ joined the band, and so it was interesting trying to find places where he could fit in into the record.
Mhm.
He actually joined at like the time when we were like probably about to start recording. And this process, the recording process for that was well, one we wanted it to sound polished and more professional. The first record, it sounds good, but it's like you could hear a quality difference between the first and the
Yeah.
second album. And we went to Clearwave in Decatur with Jeremy Stevens, and he's done all sorts of like artists around this here and the in North Alabama. And so he was really cool. It was a fun experience because he had a really interesting personality that I think meshed well with us because we're all just a bunch of weirdos. He was definitely a weirdo.
That's
So
awesome.
so it was great, and I loved it because that was like probably the first legit studio we recorded in, where he's had like 30 plus years of experience, and he's worked with all so many people. So it was great, and it was a treat. That one took a lot of time too, because of course it was a more legit studio. It was more expensive, and so we had to play a lot of shows. We could only like get together certain times because we all had jobs and the typical story. So it was hard to get us all together to make it happen. So that one took probably like about, I would say 2 years as well. As far as like, well, writing wise, maybe 4 years because we wrote a lot
Yeah.
of songs.
Do you remember the first song you wrote for that album?
Man, it was probably Any Day.
Okay.
Any
Awesome.
Day was the probably first one.
Was it a quick write, or did it take you a while to
It
kind of come up with it?
was a quick write
Okay.
actually. It was
Do you remember like that inspiration for it?
what was it? The inspiration was I was hanging out with some people and uh one of my friends it was like a friend's friend. She was like really like drunk and stuff, and so her friend kept calling her a hot mess. So you're being a hot mess. And so I just that always stuck in my head,
Yeah.
like, oh, she's a hot mess. And so that inspiration came up
That's awesome.
from the song. But as far as that, but then it was also like a time of I think I'd broken up with like I'd broken up with a girlfriend over like a 2-year relationship, and so I was like in a kind of interesting lonely spot. So it was a song about feeling isolated and lonely. It kind of just like not really sitting with your loneliness, but just trying to
Yeah.
kind of mask it or try to have any sort of distraction.
Is there a song on that album that took you a long time to complete? Like you're like, oh, like the band really enjoyed it. It's a great, like you enjoyed the song, but from like start to finish, it was one that just,
Hmm.
gave you a little trouble?
I'm trying to think. It might have been the song Jack. The song Jack was inspired by The Shining. Lyrically, it's more so the movie than the book.
Okay.
Uh, because Jack is kind of different in the depictions of each. But so yeah, because we had the music, like the music was there, the song was there. I just I couldn't think of lyrics. I
Mm.
couldn't think of, like it just
Like,
wasn't
the
coming.
groove was there and, like, everyone was like, "This is good," but then,
Yes,
like, piecing it together with lyrically to
lyrically,
flow through
melody,
the
yeah.
song-wise was just not it was just tough.
It wasn't happening, and I know I wanted it to be about, like, insanity. I wanted it to be, like, feeling like you're going insane, and so the only thing I could think of was Jack Torrance in The Shining, especially in the movie. He just kinda, just
Yeah.
devolves into insanity. So, that kinda, yeah, just like, that's cool. I like movies, I like using movies as far as, like, inspiration for music
Mm.
sometimes.
Yeah, and so we've been 5 years since the last time you've been on, and so obviously a lot's probably happened in the last 5 years
Yeah.
for the band. Kind of give me this last few years, maybe in the last couple years, what does the band look like? I know y'all have played at shows. We saw you a couple, maybe last year at some point. We saw you play at the camp.
Mhm,
You've done a lot of solo stuff as well.
mhm.
Joined the Beastie Goys, helping as guitarist there. What is that sort of? Kind of give me a rundown of what the last few years have looked like, musically for you as well as musically for the groups that you're a part of.
Yeah, so the last few years have been interesting because I've been diving into, like you said, a lot of projects from the Beastie Boys, solo work. I was doing some house shows with Aaron and Wanda, the Boardman series. Um, and so as far as like the dogs, we've been, for the longest time, we was like, we should do a third record. And so we've been writing some songs here and there. A third record hasn't come
Mm.
yet, and I'm not sure when a
Is that
third.
on the horizon, you think?
It might be. Well, actually, right now I'm in the process of kind of working on a solo
Okay.
kind of album at the moment. So I've been working on that for, man, like a couple of years. It's taken longer than I anticipated because I
Is it
like,
easier to write when you're by yourself or harder, have you seen?
it's kind of harder. It's
Okay.
kind of harder to write because a lot of times for the dogs, the process writing the dog stuff was like I would write like a song. Sometimes I would demo it out. I'd have like each part's kind of like recorded, or I just have like maybe a audio of me singing with an acoustic, and I'll show the guys, and we'll kind of like work on it from
And, like,
there.
build from there.
Build
Okay.
it, yeah. They'll usually do their part. Sometimes they listen to what I write and they do something similar, or they kind of we work around to see what can flow with it. And so, but when I'm by myself, it's interesting because I just feel like I get stuck in a rut a lot
Mhm.
of times because I'm not much of a drummer, right?
Mm.
So I'm always listening to different drum beats. Like I'm always like on YouTube, like what kind of drum beat is this, and I kind of listen to it, like that's cool, kind of get me from.
Yeah.
And I've been playing drums actually recently with a group called Tape Deck, um, so that's been helping me kind of broaden my horizons for that.
Do you think it's also easier to, like, overanalyze what you're doing if you're by yourself?
Yes, definitely.
Like,
Oh yeah.
the words that the lyrics themselves, the music themselves, the melody itself is
Mhm.
just easier. You're kind of more you're almost trying to reach perfection a little bit more when you're doing it by yourself than if you have other people to kind of fill in the blanks for you.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that for sure. So lately, I've been trying to just let things come out and not be too over analytical about it. And so it's kind of it's coming through. I'm hoping to have it finished by the end of the year and start recording it sometime soon. So I've been doing that, and then I play around a lot, just like local bars or venues and stuff. As far as but the dogs, we've still released some music. Like we
Yeah,
have some singles, like we just
that new
released
single just came out.
Every Now and Then just came out, and it's one of my favorites. And we had a great release show at Tip Top a couple weeks ago. So we're still doing that. We released two singles last year, Weirdo and Leave It Alone. We had a really fun music video that came out with that my friend Sophie made. So, we're still doing things. I'm not sure when we're gonna come out with a new album at the moment. Who knows? Maybe this solo album could turn into a Dogs album. I'm not sure, you know? we're working on a lot of things. And then, so I started doing the Beastie Goys. Uh
Which for those that maybe are listening or watching that don't know what the Beastie Boys is, what is the Beastie Boys?
so Beastie Goys is a Beastie Boys tribute band. We specialize in playing all the hits.
Yeah, it's an incredible show. I've seen y'all play multiple times.
It's a lot of fun.
It's on the calendar for the August show.
August 22nd here in Huntsville. We'll be at Mars Music Hall. We're playing all of their first album. It's the 40th anniversary of their first album, Licensed to Ill. Uh, and it's just like it's one of those like monumental like just albums of all time, especially in rap and hip hop. So we're doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. It's one of those things
How
that
does that kind of your creative juices when it comes to being an artist, how does that kind of itch maybe a skill set that you weren't doing prior to joining them?
well, I guess it's one the music's already there, so I just kind of follow along. It's like
Yeah.
tracing stuff. But also there are moments. So we've decided we have a full band that does all the music. A lot of the Beastie Boys, a lot of times they have like backing tracks for it, and they would just the MCs would rap and stuff. Sometimes they did have instruments and stuff. But so we recreate all the music the best that we can with actual drums, guitar, bass, and all that stuff. So there are some songs that don't have guitar in it. A lot of times just bass and drums. So that's when I get to put something on there that's still tasteful and still works in the world of the Beastie Boys. So it's been a fun challenge to to make sure that it doesn't sound wonky or weak
Yeah,
or
it
just
all
make
kind
sure
of pieces together a little
it
bit.
pieces together.
And I guess as you're working on your solo stuff, it kind of gives you that like, oh, if you're hearing a drum thing that you're Googling and you're like, oh, there's no guitar, but like it's kind of that skill set that you have with the Beastie Boys where you're like, well, it could, if we did this and we did this and we did a little bit of this, and it all kind of goes together a little bit better that way.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool because like you said, you still do solo stuff, and so how as you've like, what are the typical places that people maybe could find you on a regular playing your solo gigs here in Huntsville?
So I used to be at the Green Bus a lot. I haven't booked many shows there lately. I haven't been actually booking a lot of solo shows lately, but the Green Bus is one that I always love playing at. The Camp is another one. I know they're in the middle of moving
Yeah.
their location, so when they get back up and running, I'll probably be there. Where else? Stove House. I've been playing some good gigs at Stove House, even though they AI generated my photo. Anyways, but that's all. Whatever.
Yeah, and so as someone who's kind of been in the local music scene here in Huntsville for a long time, what are some of your favorite local musicians that if you want to kind of push to people that are listening, that are watching, that you're like, hey, they're really like, you should definitely check out their stuff.
Yeah, definitely. My friend Keaton is a wonderful musician. He has a great voice. Is a fun, kind of like emo pop punk sound that I love. He's great. My friend, the Dragon is what she goes by. She has a phenomenal voice. We actually went to one of her shows. She just unveiled. She has a band, the Dragon and the Queens, and so they're great. She has some songs out. A lot of soul, a lot of just like there's a very booming voice, a very energetic voice that captivates you. Of course, my friends Jane and the Huntsman are great. Wanda's amazing. Um, Billy Allen and the Pollies. They're actually on tour right now with the Alabama Shakes.
That's awesome.
So, well, I guess at this moment they are, but when this comes out, maybe they still are. I'm not sure, but they're amazing. Billy Allen, he's a phenomenal frontman, and my friend Mulan, she's really good. Uh, Josh Taylor, uh, uh, finger picker, like kind of like Chet Atkins style finger picking. He's great. Actually, I don't. I guess this is kind of biased, but the band that I'm in, Tape Deck, I play drums for them.
Yeah.
I love those guys. They're fun. So, I've been listening to that and just seeing them whenever I can. My buddy Connor McMurray, he's great. He's in a band right now called Jeweler. which is a lot of fun. Yeah, some buddies of mine, him and Jake, we did a Strokes cover set like in April. That was a lot of
That's
fun.
awesome.
We covered the Strokes' first album. Um,
How do you think the like when you think of the music scene when you were at UAH, you were getting ready to start the band
mhm.
versus now? Like, how do you like the ease at which music is for local artists here in Huntsville? Maybe some of the still some of the maybe issues that you see as kind of like the infrastructure built for them.
You know, it's a totally different. It's almost like night and day, honestly, because I mean, what I was introduced to in the scene was more like I think there's more variety now than there was, or I think everything has kind of come out of the shadows and is now kind of more open.
Mm.
So I think everything was a little more secluded. Like I was only familiar with all the punk and hardcore stuff and the metal stuff, but I think other things like the R&B side is out in the open now. I think a lot more of the electronic side is out now. Like there's a bunch of like raves going on and stuff. There's more hardcore shows and it's all just being everyone's kind of doing their thing and it's kind of making a scene. I think now the scene is starting to form. We're at the baby steps of
Mm.
the scene really starting to blossom. So I hope it continues to create more like diversity in the sound and
Yeah, because I
everything.
mean, I think over the years, even in the last couple years, there's been more of those like venue. Not necessarily strictly venues that now have become music venues,
Mhm.
like Mad Malt's doing a lot of those raves and stuff like that, and, like,
Mhm.
places that maybe were built to be another kind of service is now offering a music scene,
Mhm.
which is kind of all like you said, is kind of allowing some of those people and the creativity that they have to kinda come out and have a place to be seen at,
Mhm.
which is incredible to see, and like you said, with the camp moving and expanding and becoming bigger, it's offering a new look there as well. Besides some of the local musicians that you enjoy, what does Jerome like listening to, like, now? Like, if is there an album that's out now, album that you've had on repeat lately
What?
that you're like, "Oh, this is a new album, this is something that I really enjoy listening to and that I wanna promote to the people that are into music."
Um, well, like I said, I was just listening to the new Strokes album and I like it a lot. I know it's been getting some criticism for the use of like auto tune and stuff, but I'm like I like auto tune. It's fine. It's one of those things where it's like, I kind of see it more as like a tool or like
Mm.
like an effect, like a guitar effect. And I really like it. I mean, I'm a big fan of theirs, so it's like I don't think they have any bad albums. But there's this one album by this artist, Ray. The album's called This Music May Contain Hope. And so I've been listening to that a lot. It's a very theatrical R&B, but there's so many mixtures of sound in it. There's like some interesting like jazz in there. And so I've been having that lately on repeat. Um,
Do you have a favorite album of all time?
Favorite album of all
Or it could be a
time?
couple. It doesn't have to be necessarily one. It's like, "Oh, like, these 3 I really enjoy," or, "These 5 I'm always listening to."
That's interesting. You know, Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" is probably one of those that I always like. If I don't know what to listen to, I put that on. Um, man, trying to think. Of course, The Strokes. Everyone goes for Is This It, the first album, and I love that album. It's great. But I actually like their more recent one called, well, not the most recent one. I do like that one, but the one before that, The New Abnormal. I think that one's one of my
Okay.
favorites for sure. Um,
How does like, as new music is coming out and you're consuming new music or you're at shows for local artists, how much of that is kind of affecting your writing process now?
you
And how
know,
much of it is kind of like your writing process is still and what you look for is still very similar to what you were doing maybe back in 2020 when you were writing the album for Unpoetic?
I guess it doesn't really affect me too much. I mean, I hear so much there's so much new music too that it's hard to even like listen to all of it. Like
Oh,
just
100%.
honestly, there's like
There's so much.
probably too much music put me out, honestly. And so but I try to pick up on things, anything that's really coming out that really catches my ear. I'll listen to. Like I like Willow Smith.
Mm.
She has a lot of great music. Like she just released an album and it's amazing. Her album that came out maybe a few years ago was a lot of fun. It's really different. So it's kind of inspired me to kind of like, because it's really experimental, some of it. And so I tried to, it's kind of made me like, maybe I should do something that's not so cookie cutter as far as like, basic chord progressions. I try to, when I'm writing something, just listen to it and see like, maybe if, is there a different direction I could take it in?
Mm.
Is there a different type of chord or inner, or like, uh, what's, the way the chords build? Is there a way that I could work with that and maybe use a different kind of melody that I haven't used before? Or even just like use the same melodies that I usually kind of come back to and try to build it into something that maybe doesn't go well together. Um, so it does. And then hearing a bunch of people like this, there's so much good music out just here in town that it is very inspiring to, like, every time I see someone here, I usually tend to be like, man, I want to go home. I want to like play something. I want to
Right.
write something or whatever.
And I think it's cool from the local music scene and like seeing it grow over the years. Like even from the last time you came on the podcast to even maybe looking back farther to when you first started the dogs, like
Mhm.
that is such the journey of Huntsville within music is changed so much.
It really
And
has.
it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I think we're kind of on this, like you said, this cusp where we're having all these different things begin to pop up that's allowing for more creativity
Mhm,
within music. And like I said, there is so much music coming out locally
mhm.
as well as just in general. Are you a big, like when you find songs or artists or albums you like, are you big into kind of creating your own album of music or out your own playlist of music? Or are you big into, when a new album comes out from an artist you like The Strokes? Are you one to, listen to that album multiple times from start to finish? Or like how do you consume content within artist and within music?
I guess when a new album comes out, I kind of listen to it twice. I listen to it for like just once, just to be like the initial like, how is this all like work? Like, is it something that I'm liking? Am I digging this? And then I'll listen to it again and see kind of what sticks out
Mm,
more. Like, which songs do I really like? Which songs are like, yeah, that one's kind of mid. Um, so I do that a few times, and then I'll even like, usually when a artist is coming out with a new album, I like to go back and listen to like
mhm.
some of the older stuff just to be like, I'd remember why I like this
Yeah.
this so much.
When you would want someone maybe that hasn't listened to the Dogs finding their album, like I said, Unpoetic is one of my favorites.
Mhm,
How would you suggest they consume it? Like, as you obviously you wrote it and you kind of have the songs and you position them in the order at which you did.
mhm.
Do you see it as the best way to consume it if you're new to your music is from start to finish? Or do you think there's a better way to consume it for someone that hasn't heard it before?
I guess now, the way the streaming world is, it kind of has your page and it has like your top most popular songs and stuff. So you could probably start
Yeah.
there. It's usually fine. I mean, people are gonna gravitate towards the more popular stuff
Mm.
anyways. It's more poppier. It's more catchy, I guess. And then if you want to deep dive into our regular things, you go find our albums and listen. You could start it from the very first album and go like in
Yeah.
order if you want, or if you're like kind of going through and you see like all the popular songs that you like, oh, they're all from this album, and go check that out and check it
Is
out.
your popular songs on Spotify your favorite songs that you've done, or is your favorite
We'll,
songs
we'll talk.
not the popular songs that Spotify or that the consumers are enjoying the most?
Let me see. Let me see. I guess, well, one, our latest song every now and then is the most popular right now because it's just so new
Mm.
and people are listening to it more. But then I guess underneath that is I Wish I Was Dead. And I mean, I really like that song. I love that song. It's great. That was one of the songs that came out. That wasn't even going to be on the album.
Really?
We had wrapped the album and then I wrote that song out of nowhere like one night.
Did you
Like,
think that was just gonna be a single later, or after you finished that, did we be like, "Oh, it needs to be added to the album?"
I finished it and I was like, we should put this on the album.
Yeah. It,
I
like,
think,
it fits in a good spot and kinda
yeah.
has its place. I think I was watching the music video of that,
Mhm.
just or right before you got here too, and it's cool to see,
I mean, like I said, it's interesting to listen to your album because I think back when you gave me your album when it first came out,
Mhm.
having it on CD and listening to it and streaming it, and then like revisiting it over the last 5 years and still listening to it,
Mhm.
and then also seeing y'all play stuff live. It's
Yeah.
just it's a cool to one see y'all's progression
Mhm.
and like the sound now versus then, as well as like where I am and listening to your songs now. And I think that's the cool thing about music is you kind of have that, like you said, when new stuff comes out, like when your new single came out, I then was prompted to go listen to your old stuff.
Mhm.
Like, oh, like this is really cool. This is a cool sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me check out that first album or Unpoetic or whatever it might be, or
Yeah, yeah.
or one of your other singles. And so I think that's the cool thing. It's, people can kind of come find you whenever the timing is right for them. And then they kind of have this, that's setting the stage now for all the other past stuff that you've created.
Yeah, it's all there, so it kinda you could kinda hear where we all come from. I think we have a playlist on our Spotify that has, like, our essential
Yeah.
tracks, so go listen there. I mean,
And there was even a playlist I saw on your Spotify that was of that y'all were incorporated in for like Huntsville music. And it was a playlist of all Huntsville local musicians.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was really cool. I was listening to that some, and there was some
Mhm.
artists and some music that I haven't heard of, and like names I recognize, but music I hadn't listened to.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun too. So I think if you're listening, we'll have links to their Spotify and everything too, and links to that playlist. So if you want to check it out, but it's a great sort of catalog of Huntsville musicians, and it's
Yeah,
the
it's great.
like older musicians as well as musicians that have just come out and everything kind of in between.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, as we kind of wrap up the conversation, if someone wants to maybe find out when y'all shows are going to be played, connect with you for local stuff, for solo stuff, whatever it might be, where's sort of the best place to find out all this information?
I guess Instagram. I think Instagram's kinda turned into, like, the one place. It used to be Facebook, and now it's
Mm.
Instagram, but it's all the same thing. So, yeah, Them Dogs on Instagram, you could look up, find our shows or actually on our website, themdemdogs.com. I don't know if people go to websites anymore. Or Jeromeo the musician, my solo Instagram is a good spot to see when and where I'm playing around here. And then the Beastie Goys, they have their own Instagram or Facebook, so just check that out. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes. We'll have links to all the social medias, links to the August 22nd show for the Beastie Boys. So if you're
Mhm.
listening to this and you want to get tickets to Mars Music Hall and see them, links will be below, as well as links to some of the Spotify as well. So if you want to listen to some of the music,
Mhm.
like I said, it's been fun to kind of know you over the last few years and kind of have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
It's fun to see the journey that y'all have had, the journey you've had. We'll have you back on in a couple of years as music continues to grow here in Huntsville. Maybe even do like a little panel of you and a couple other artists that we can kind of talk through music.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking the last 20, 30 minutes to talk to me today.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.